Hey, Chimo Sobbies, it's the Trickster. Welcome to another edition of 30 with Tony. Did you know I am the disco president? And I really knew how to get them crots to boogie, so let's get it on.
Well, hi, Kemosabe's. It's Tony D'Angelo. It is February 19th, 2026, 3 p.m. Eastern. And you are here for another edition of 30 with Tony. If you're watching on X, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching wherever people may take this and post this, welcome. Thank you. So appreciative. You know, you're actually helping me celebrate my my anniversary. 13 years ago, I married the lovely Kathleen Avery, who is now Kathleen D'Angelo, probably regretting every single minute of her life. But if you are stopping in the neighborhood, so to speak, excuse me, make sure you wish my dear Kathy a happy university. As I said on Facebook earlier, she is the #1 heartthrob of 4 cats, 1 dog, 64 chickens, and 1 incredibly grateful husband. Anyway, we got serious business here today, and I'm very happy you're here. And I thank you for that. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for being my friends. Thank you for, asking for my input on things, and happy to help wherever I can to the extent that I can. And I do my best with that. But anyway, just going to get another sip of tea. I'm really going to get into what we're talking about today. And the title of what we're going to be talking about is, can you handle the truth? Can you handle the truth? Because a lot of information, and I can't hope to cover every single, shall I say, subject, but in the subjects that I'm covering and in the stories I'm covering, I want to know the truth. I want to know what's really happening. Where I am a great admirer and will continually be throughout the course of my life a great admirer, and President John F. Kennedy is, he addressed the Congress and he said, look, I don't want the Republican answer. I don't want the Democratic answer. Back then it was Democratic. I want the right answer. And I'm here because I want the right answer. I respect my friendships. I respect people that, shall we say, like me and support me. But I really want to drive to the truth. And if I'm not telling you the truth, and if I've said anything that's untrue, I want to correct that as best as I can, because, the biblical premise is the truth will make you free, not that the truth is going to put you in a bag. And there's a lot of bags we got to post through and punch through here today. But let's get right into it. Number of subjects, earlier this morning, and I just feel that they are worthy of mention. So let's begin. If you did not have the chance to look at it when it was on, and or you haven't watched the rebroadcast, I would invite you to view either on X or either on YouTube the replay of my segment on Tuesday on the Lee Elsey Show. Now, this played on the show. Actually, it was broadcast on the show. It is on the SoundCloud. It is also a part of TalkRed, which is an exciting new media endeavor that Lee is involved with. And, it plays here. We covered a number of different things. We covered the deficit. We covered the bulbous amount of borrowing. Bob Swick had mentioned that on his article this past Saturday. He'll be following up with that this week. It's disgusting. Finally, the light is going on to how almost our entire legislature has made us really, shall we say, dependent on borrowing and just, a lot of feel-good spending that we're all paying for now. And they scratch around for money largely as the result of presently made stupid decisions, and stupid decisions going way back that we're now paying for interest. And believe me, both parties have been involved in it, probably much more so in recent years, Democrats, but it's an absolute positive joke. I did my best to follow up with that. We also followed up with another couple of things. Please view if you have a moment and let me know what you think. But anyway, when I think of this, whatever you want to call it, this merry-go-round, sometimes this sick listing ship that is Connecticut, there are so many situations that you can talk about. And of course, the big thing these days is utilities and Eversource and the public benefits charge, and people coming out saying they're going to get rid of the public benefits charge, and the fights and the scrapes with Pura, and a lot of good that's done when that was established, and the complete disavowance, really, that's what it is, the complete disavowance of really the genius Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior, I believe, under President Donald Trump, energy plan, which really would save us all and save us quickly in a matter of 2 years. But Connecticut's got a better idea, because Connecticut always has a better idea to throw you in the sewer, basically. And this has been going on for years and years. The rule of Connecticut governance is, it used to be, the old management example of how many angels can we get dancing on the head of a pin. Well, in Connecticut, it's how many bureaucrats can we effectively get sucking off the public trough. And and how many conflicted legislators can we have in both utilities and government, which really, let's be sane about this, these are adverse interests, okay? Energy and the electric company and the water company and any public utility and elected officials should not be dancing around with the same hula hoop. But Connecticut, we've just, this is the way it is. It's perfectly okay because these people come out before you and say, we're about the public interest. Yeah, which public? But that being as it is, a couple of my great friends had pointed out to me earlier on Twitter that the profits have increased at Eversource. No stuff, Sherlock. Is that a surprise to you? You're paying through the nose. You're paying through the nose to support a whole bunch of people that really don't give a damn about you, be it at the Eversource utility and or being as beneficiaries of the public benefits charge. And they're making money and they like the profit scheme that they've got. And basically, they want to come to you and say, oh, we're doing everything we can and we want to protect the environment. And this is how we do this. And it's a shame we have to pay more. But, it's the evil fossil fuels that are going to kill us. And listen, to them, I want to say, listen, idiots, because they are idiots. But if you study that fossil fuel, if you study fossil fuel and the extraction of fossil fuel, and as Trump says, clean, beautiful coal creates a lot less, dramatically less environmental pollution than the crap they push with the windmills and the electric cars. And when the electric car is all done, what do you do with the battery? And oh yeah, what do you do with the charging station when the charging station burns out? And what do you do when your kid's on an electric school bus and the thing can't run and you can't get the windows open and they're freezing to death and they're crying because they don't know when somebody's going to help them? And do you have to bust into that with a fire axe? My God, you spent $40 million borrowing to get this electric school bus because you wanted to save the environment. This is the nonsense that goes on. But basically, you can't say, you see in Connecticut, you can't say Trump. If I say Trump account, which really is the best economic device I have ever seen, I don't care, listen, you could call it the Yabba Dabba Do account. You can call it the Volkswagen account. Who the hell cares? But getting kids started off with essentially money where they could understand how capitalism works, and you add to that and you do so seriously. I haven't heard one freaking Republican talk about the Trump account. I haven't heard one freaking Republican come out and say, well, why don't we abolish the stupid baby bonds program? We have no idea what's in baby bonds. We don't know how many Ned deals are in there. They won't tell us that. And you can ask those questions, but you won't get answers basically because they don't want to tell you what the hell they're doing. And our treasurer, Eric Russell, the idiot, makes it a race issue. It has nothing to do with race, Eric. A white kid, a black kid, a green kid, a purple kid, a pink kid with purple polka dots, they can all have Trump accounts, basically. The best economic device ever in the history of mankind, or at least my own history, and that unfortunately does go back away. But with that being as it is, we don't look at solutions. We look at personalities. We look at stupid politics, and that's what keeps us from advancing. But anyway, when you look at this, and how I got to there from here, I don't know. But when you look at this here, it's like, well, we have all these people who are concerned about the public. And so why do we keep screwing up? Why do we keep supporting this mess? And a large part of this, again, can you handle the truth, is because people are making money, honey, and they're making money on you, and they don't care about you. So let's move on a little bit. Our good friend, George Colley, had a very good post about this earlier. And he was 100% on the label with this. The only plan at Eversource, and these are people, we have Eversource people in our legislature and have had Eversource people in our legislature. We'll get into that in just a moment. The only plan allows bills to skyrocket and profits to double. It's been the plan for years. Now, my other good friend, Sal, is absolutely right when he says the favor is due in return for suspending the disconnects during Corona. Eversource and the utility industrial complex will continue to make out no matter what, no matter what. And they will not, and the politicians of the state will not address energy options, which are real, which are tangible, which you can do immediately and start them immediately. They're not going to address that because, you know, listen, you got to grease some palms and you got to make sure your buddies are taken care of. So basically, what you see happening here is because of, you know, quote unquote, well, we're going to starve you guys out for a little bit, but man, you're going to make out at the end and you're pretty much going to run the table. Now, what I have shown you just in cause and effect is undeniable, is undeniable. You cannot deny that. How could you deny that? And this is really, I think, a very apropos picture. I don't want to explode it and blow my screen, but this is Ned Lamont in analogy, and this is Connecticut, you know, and he's clubbing the seal. It's just so, this is the world we live in. That picture is worth 10,000 words. But anyway, the reason why you have this and you have, you know, George's comment very astutely is because of something like this. This is Advanced CT. We have talked about Advanced CT before. This is the humble little nonprofit, and all of the good people and all the good people and all the good corporations that are doing everything they can to make Connecticut grow and to make Connecticut economically viable. You know, this is the group, if you're a new watcher to this show, that starting from COVID-19, starting from the formation of the second Advanced CT. You see, the original thing, by way of historical background, there used to be something that was known in Connecticut as the Connecticut Economic Resource Council. I believe it was CERC. It was just known as CERC, CERC. And it was a quote unquote nonprofit, shall we say, arm, exempt from freedom of information, as all nonprofits getting state money in Connecticut are. And it basically was said as we're going to use this as a business facilitation development device. And what it basically is, you don't know what's happening in it, but this went on for a number of years and of course is exempt from freedom of information. And whenever you're told that a utility is paying a fine for something they did terribly, they didn't flip the power on fast enough after the storm, and somebody, you know, the governor yells at the head of Eversource, and it's the finger pointing and the blaming and all that other sort of stuff. Well, Eversource will pay a fine, but they'll pay it into what used to be CERC, and now it's, you know, quote unquote Advanced CT. And, you know, quote unquote, the profitable arm of Advanced CT. And that money is there for schmoozing and boozing and canoodling and political support and all that other kind of stuff, because that quote unquote will benefit the utility that quote unquote is supposed to be fined. But, you know, you don't see your electric bill going down by the ratable amount of that fine. Oh, no, you're paying a public benefits charge. That's the way the monster works. Now, what happened during COVID-19, and we had covered this, and it's on my Twitter page. You can follow it as you go down. However, COVID-19 was matriculated, manufactured, plotted, many people are much more astute on that than I would be. My great contribution to the proceedings was I was taking out McKinsey papers that were dated in 2019 where the battle plan had already been written. So, you know, draw your own conclusions on that. No one in Connecticut government's ever addressed that, frankly, other than yours truly. And I've proven I have the document. The document is there, and they're all very silent about that. But that all being as it is, the people that were sitting there with their hands on the wheel said, well, we're going to need a secret committee to do all of our COVID, shall we say, planning and plotting and reopening and making the public safe. The public had to be made safe. So they set up a second nonprofit. Now, in doing that, they took the first one, which was the Connecticut Economic Resource Council, and renamed it Advanced CT. And then they took the second one, which they had, shall we say, just formed January of 2020. I got the papers. The papers are on Twitter, and did the Advanced CT Foundation. And this is the one, or in some amalgam of the one, where they held their secret COVID meetings, whatever in the hell they were doing. Now, what we do know is that, Scott Gottlieb, MD of Pfizer, and Ned Lamont were sitting on that committee. Now, Gottlieb, of course, is Pfizer. Now, that, of course, would be vaccines. Lamont, of course, was Semaphore. That would be testing. So these guys are just sitting there getting ready to shoot fish in a barrel. I mean, or tell me why they weren't. So it's like, you've got Manny the Torch and Joe the gasoline salesman, and they're sitting, quote unquote, at a meeting, and they're not talking about how they could work together, right? This is what they want you to believe. But that being as it is, the meetings were all held in secret. And oh yeah, they went and hired McKinsey, McKinsey. And McKinsey, of course, is the architect of the nursing home scandal and killing the elderly and all the other things, and writing, quote unquote, all the things that you saw. You think the Connecticut government, you think people in the legislature are that intelligent to put on that type of, shall we say, graphic performance? I mean, please. There might be a couple, but, by and large, but that all being as it is, this is what happened. And in doing this, they have established or reinforced what Connecticut governance is. Now, Ned Lamont has traveled to India and other places under the umbrella of Advanced CT. And he's traveled with myriad characters, the president of UConn, Radenka Merrick. He's traveled with the Infosys guy. I believe his name is, we'll look at him in a moment, Parikh. But basically, they're doing something or other there. And whatever they're doing in these foreign places under the guise of Advanced CT, you're never going to find out about, because guess what? There is freedom of information exemption in Connecticut for nonprofits. Got that? There's freedom of information exemption in Connecticut for nonprofits. Okay. Maybe that doesn't mean nearly as much to you as it does to me. But you can do a lot when you know somebody's not going to be checking in on what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. And that's a lot. But anyway, when we look at Advanced CT, why do you end up here and why do you end up here? Well, perhaps on the board of directors of Advanced CT, these are the people who are conducting business, state business, in secret. You don't know what the hell they're doing. And they're not going to tell you what the hell they're doing, because the way the laws are written, they don't have to tell you what they're doing. I can't believe I'm saying half of this, but it's 100% true. But I want you to look at this particular person here, Gregory Butler. He is and we've been through this before, he is the executive vice president and general counsel of Eversource, right? So he effectively is sitting at both ends of this transaction. He's sitting, quote unquote, in the secret business realm of Connecticut, along with Dan O'Keefe, the treasurer of Advanced CT. He is the he's the commissioner of the should be abolished Department of Economic and Community Development. But Butler sits here and Butler sits here. What's wrong with that picture? I mean, shouldn't government be, quote unquote, at adverse interests of Eversource? I mean, it kind of seems that they're working together. And the guy at the head of this and the guy at the head of this are the same person. And oh yeah, he is the husband of Themis Clarities, known to most of you as a former state senator and a noted, shall we say, political personality in Connecticut. And basically, this goes on. And this goes on. And so whenever quote unquote Eversource is held to task, the people deciding behind closed doors as to, what should we do, or what is the fine, or look at it this way, how is the fine going to be used at what circumstances, are the same people. And there's no thought to conflict of interest. It's like, well, these are public servants that are here to serve us all. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? How is this able to go on? It's able to go on because you've had cowardly legislatures who aren't doing what the hell you're doing and I'm doing. And this has gone on for too many years. And this is why we get screwed up. And this is why we get jacked up, basically. Or one small microcosm as to why this happens. I was going to say my tea needed to be warm, but I'm plenty hot as it is. So this is how it works. Okay? Going to go through that again. We're getting jacked because the plan was, we're going to starve you guys out, but you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be clean and green in a matter of years. And oh yeah, when it comes to quote unquote developing business, we're going to keep that secret from you. And the people who are sitting on this side of the fence, who's supposed to be government, and on this side of the fence that are supposed to be an adverse interest, are the same people. You have all of these, you have, I can go down on and on, but these are all the people. Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, right? Yale School of Management. What are they doing? What are they involved with? What kind of endeavors are they involved with that are costing you tax money? How does Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, sitting on the board of Advanced CT, help you as a Connecticut citizen? James Smith loves me dearly. Board member, former chairman, I believe he was chairman, but certainly the president, Webster Bank. Okay. So it's like, what clandestine arrangements are happening here that we don't know about, that are affecting us? And nobody's asking these questions. And nobody is saying, hey, do you think it's time we got rid of this stupid and this obstructive and politically protecting FOI exemption for nonprofits, so crap like this doesn't go on, or there's no potential for crap, basically? Couple of Josh Cabal, right? Remember Josh from COVID days? Josh, you want to take this? Well, Josh was Annie Lamont's business partner. Somehow worms his way into the, now he's with Yale Ventures. I mean, how many ventures is he, quote unquote, working with Connecticut, where people can profit who are connected to the name Lamont? We don't know. We got no idea. And you want to know something? It can be clean as a whistle. I doubt it, but it can be clean as a whistle. The fact that it goes on, the fact that the propensity of that kind of protection of wrongdoing exists is horrible. Is horrible. It needs to stop. It needs to stop now. So basically, let's move on a little bit. So when we're talking about, let me just see where I would like to go here first. Let me go to here. I'm not going to go quite there yet, but I'm going to go here. If you were watching 10:30 today, that would be Thursday, February 19th, the Connecticut Republican Caucus, if I've got the terminology correctly, held a press conference on the culture of corruption. And it was Messrs. Senator Harding, who was pictured, Representative Candelora, and several of the others spoke. And they talked about the fact of just the incredible corruption that goes on in Connecticut. Now, put it this way. How many years have you, I might have been the first, only because I'm the oldest probably, screaming about the sickening corruption in Connecticut, and nobody did a thing. I know I started. Greg Howard was subbing today in the Lee Elsey show. I think he had mentioned my 6 years, and that's about right. I think it's coming on 7. And basically talking about just, this, what I've shown you here and here, going to here, especially when you've got a common party who sits in power and 2 adverse interests, is basically racketeering. And that's, you can't sit at both ends of a transaction and turn to the world and say you're legitimate, basically. I mean, the only way if you're going to the store and you're buying an object, maybe you like the price, maybe you don't like the price, or whatever the case may be. But if the guy that made the thing that you want to buy and the guy that that opens the store are the same guy, and there ain't no other place you could go to get that object but that store, I'm sure you're getting a legitimate price, right? But no, you're not. But basically, what I've described here is adverse interest, supply and demand. And the fact that the store's got to make a profit, and the guy selling it's got to make a profit, and the person purchasing it has got to be able to afford it. That is called a free exchange, and that is called an open market system. What we have in Connecticut is anything but an open market system. So I watched this press conference. I am grateful finally that people are acknowledging corruption. It has taken too damned long. But basically, what I'm getting from these people, and these are the Connecticut Republican Caucus, is more of the same. And more of the same is not going to fix messes like I've shown you here, here, and here. And the potential for things to go wrong. And number one, Vincent Candelora, we do not need an inspector general's office. Vincent Candelora said, if I am remembering this correctly, that we want to handle our own messes in Connecticut before the feds come in and do it for us. Vincent, the feds need to come here, and they need to come here quickly. And they're not coming here quickly enough. That's part of the problem. Connecticut has had, going all the way back to the days of Lowell Weicker, 35 years to fix itself and has not been able to do it. So now in year 36, we're going to fix ourselves. I appreciate the heart intention, but it's the wrong pew in the right building, in the right church. What needs to happen here is for these people to come out and say, we invite the feds to come in. We invite this thing to go top down, sideways, because this has gone on for too long. So then the operative question then becomes, why aren't they doing that? I mean, is this corruption that we're looking at? Listen, I'm not naming names, faces, and places, is so pervasive, and so many people sit on things. And of course, our ethics in Connecticut are an absolute positive joke. I believe Candelora made reference to that jokey, awful ethics plan, which one of the stupid news people, I forget which one, actually stated this with credibility. We've exploded that on this show and on the Lee Elsey show. And Candelora at least said, well, that's a rabbit hole that nobody wants to go down. Well, why? Why? If I got that right. Why don't we want to see no stone unturned? Who are we protecting? I mean, the fact is that government is supposed to be for people, not supposed to be for government. I mean, government isn't supposed to be getting rich about government, right? And right? Government's not supposed to be getting rich about government. So with that being as it is, that's the first thing. What we need is for any one of these governor candidates, and believe me, I'm excited about the Betsy McCoy, shall I say, concepts. Again, I've given you the fine points on that. Her idea falls short, which we're going to be looking at in a second. She's in the right building, but she's sitting in the wrong pew. And I want to see her do something badly. So I'm not saying that critically. I am saying that because this is what you need to do to correct it, Betsy. But that being as it is, the idea that this is all going to work isn't. What you need to do is you need to have full freedom of information on every single nonprofit in real time fashion. And if you can't get your website up to a state compliant minimum as to where like I can get on and say, well, that's what they're doing. What the hell is that thing that happened there with Blue Hills Civic Association? Who's Doug McCrory? Who's Sansaray Cicero Hamlin? If we can't do that, they don't deserve a dime of our money. And this whole thing of, well, we want to make sure money gets to the communities it needs. Well, since when did government start to be the united way for people? Tell me. I'm lost. I'm entirely lost. That's the first thing, and that's the first mistake. The feds need to get here. They need to get here quickly. The second thing is every single nonprofit has got to come where I agree with these Republicans. You got to prove you're an organization. You need to register. You need to have an exemption letter, and your expenses should be no greater than the benchmark that whatever, and completely escapes me at the moment, but I could certainly look it up. Whatever the charitable, I believe it's Charity Navigator is the organization, says you should have. I believe it's somewhere between 25 and 33%. We have got people in, notwithstanding the Connecticut Food Share, Jason Jakubowski making over $400,000 a year. But we've got people in drug addiction charities that are cleaning up. And you say to yourself, well, if you're paying them more each year, logic and reason would dictate that we're supposed to have less drug abuse, but we seem to be having more drug abuse and we're paying these people more and more each year. That tells me you're milking a problem rather than getting to a solution. That's the first thing, really, that you need to happen, that should need to happen. The second thing is there's got to be real-time, on-demand disclosure. Basically, if you're serving in the legislature, what are your relationships? Who are you involved with? Why are you there? Because if we don't see that, we don't know why you're there. And you literally can lie to us. And I'm tired of being lied to, and you should too. Basically, that's just a couple of things you should do. But the other thing is we need a citizen Doge. We need to have people, get me, get Swick, get Red Janke, get, Inspector General ain't going to do crap, basically, especially if he's politically motivated. We need to have people that will look at it and say, cut here, cut here, cut here, consolidate that. And the political system does not have the will to do that because they got too much money being made, too many cronies on the food chain. And it's never going to change unless we get a governor that will do that and a government that will do that and people that will run for office and say, I've had enough, basically. And if that's the case, you're just going to have more of the same. I am not going to demean the Republican effort, but they are so far off what needs to be done. It needs to be mentioned. And if you disagree with me, challenge me. And you're not going to do that, basically, because and I know, it's the old, comedy routine of snake in the box that Harvey Korman and Tim Conway would do on the Carol Burnett show. I know that you know that you know that I know that he knows that that there's a snake in the box. This is the snake in the box, not Senator Harding, but this is the snake in the box that needs to be rooted out. Okay. Now, we're going to talk some economic policy. I'm just going to go to here real quick. I'm going to go back to that. And guess what? Another should be abolished Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development organization went kerflooey in its endeavor. And what happened was, this is my tweet of yesterday, the should be abolished CTDECD promised 7 figures of benefits to a business in the Job CT program. I'll tell you what, you want a good exercise, get one person in government to write down all the CTs, all the one-word CT programs, Job CT, housing CT, advanced CT, dog CT, cat CT. I don't know. Can't keep track of them. But the department, this is an article here from the Hartford Business Journal. The Talcott Financial Group got a big gimme to move jobs to Hartford. 3 years they've been there, and now they're laying off people. Why? Why? I mean, wasn't the whole idea of giving these people a big financial gimme so that they would create jobs, that they would do something meaningful? But apparently they've decided they're not able to hack it. Now, it's pretty sad when government subsidizes, government tries to pick a winner here in the Talcott Financial Group. Picking winners and losers has been the gold standard of Connecticut and business development for years. The guy is in his truck with a couple of ladders and paint cans and, one ball tire and rust on the truck. They'll kill him. But they'll hand their winners. The regulators will kill somebody like that, but they will hand people here money. And guess what? Even handing them money doesn't get them to where they need to go. What does that tell you about the economic condition of Connecticut? Now, you read down this article, and this is the president of Talcott Financial Group, Imran Siddiqui, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And they laid off 100 employees, and they did a WARN Act. The employees have been notified, and they relocated from Windsor, and they had a big thing in September 23. So in other words, nothing, they just moved. This wasn't even anybody new. This was somebody that they brought into the city. And it was one of these DECD, very questionable deals. And of course, you don't know what the assistance agreement was. They're not telling you about that. And if you ask them, they won't tell you, but maybe I will. Maybe one of you guys wants to do this for me and FOI and see what you get. But basically, they claim that they were supposed to get a $1.1 million tax rebate had they survived their job creation. And the DECD, of course, is very honorable in all its dealings. So, well, they didn't, they didn't get to there. Remember when we looked at Semaphore and no one had told you, and this is on my Twitter page too, that Semaphore, when they borrowed, they got $48 million in, shall we say, support from Connecticut. A part of that was a $15 million 2% loan, a 2% simple interest loan. Imagine what you could do in your financial situation. I don't know what you're paying on your credit cards. I don't know what you're paying on your utilities, but what if I wrote you a 2% simple interest loan and you paid all that off and you paid me back at 2% a month, simple interest? I mean, wouldn't that be great? Well, that's what Semaphore got out of the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development. The integrity of these people, the character of these people. And not only that, there was with this loan, if you've been involved in any sort of corporate finance or anything like that, or perhaps you've done business finance, many times your lender wants a loan guarantee or collateral. In other words, what will you give me if you don't pay me back? And when you looked at the first, shall we say, loan guarantee of Semaphore, it was computers and test tubes and printers, all 2015 vintage. Now, if you have any of that technologies hanging around, it would probably maybe serve best as a doorstop or a landfill at this point. And then when Semaphore went public, they got rid of the loan guarantee. It was sickening. And no legislator ever said a word. That's all on my Twitter page. You can look at it. We went through it all on the Lee Elsey show. Sickening. And the governor's family's involved, basically. And you think any one of these governor candidates will say anything about that? Don't ask me to help you. Go read my page. basically, and you'll see everything that's there. You know, I'm not one of these crackpots that just goes off at the mouth, you know, without having the support to do it. But that, which bothers me to no end when people do that, frankly, they give the rest of us a bad name. But that being as it is, so we don't know if these people are telling us the truth, because they have an untruthful history. So, but regardless, let's just look at this in economic terms. We handed these people a big gimme and they couldn't cut it. Why? Is it unsafe to go to Hartford? Is Connecticut a business sewer? Is it there's no economic life here? Pick from any column you want. I think those are all valid questions. And so when you get over to here, it's like, it's when, and I ask the question, when will the nonsense end? Can you handle the truth? Well, any governor candidate put a stop to this and fix it. I mean, is this good? Did this do something good? Was this a valuable endeavor? I mean, basically, and, you know, is this acceptable? Because, you know, when we had this conference over here today, nobody talks about this stuff. Is this acceptable? Ostensibly it is. So anyway, I'll talk to you. Others will talk to you. This is not going to generate anything. This is a disgrace. This is an abomination. And we don't know how many others of these deals are out there. Job assistance deals, you know, the Job CT program. We have no idea. But anyway, let me give you guys a little economics lesson. Okay. Crap like this is not going to grow an economy. And when you lose taxpayers and when you lose capital, you're dependent on two things: the few remaining stupid slobs that are there trying to pay for all your largesse and incompetence, or federal funding. And, you know, where I applaud the Trump administration is he doesn't want to subsidize this nonsense anymore. And I can't blame him. You know, basically, it's like handing your teenage son a continually new car when he wrecks the old one, and then he wrecks one, you give him another one. I went to school with a kid like that. Unbelievable. And his parents just kept giving him, you know, I saw some of the neatest cars one week and I saw them wrecked the next week. And the kid just went along wrecking them, and the parents just kept buying them because they figure if they had a new car, the kid wouldn't get hurt when he wrecked it. Just that's, you know, that's that kind of mentality. But let's talk about something here. Okay. Let's look here. National Law Review. This is an article, February 1st. People leave, and this is where I'm looking at 3 Republican governor candidates. I'm looking at one whom I think is well-intentioned. That would be Senator Fazio, with really a bollocks tax plan that doesn't really. It's Ryan, it's way too complicated to follow. You got to simplify, you've got to cut, and you've got to make it democratic across the board. When I say democratic, same rate for corporations as for individuals, simple, conceptual, easy. You've got Betsy McCoy, who's saying, I'm going to eliminate the personal income tax, but I'm going to leave the corporate rate alone. In that case, Betsy, you're not going to get employers. Simple as that, and just a zip code. Aaron Stewart, I have no idea. But this is not D'Angelo. This is the National Law Review. And they're saying people are leaving the tax states and they're moving to Texas, Nevada, and Florida. Well, listen, you don't need the National Law Review to tell you that. But basically, if you want your stupid idiot state to develop, you've got to reduce, eliminate, and simplify income taxes. It ain't going to work any other way. I'm telling you exactly what it is today. I don't care if you love me, hate me, want to get a dartboard and throw. I don't care. I don't care, because you've got to tell me I'm wrong about this, and you can't, basically. So here is NorCal Moving Services, a leading moving company, reports a significant increase in long-distance relocations to tax-free states as California residents seek financial relief from the state's high cost of living and tax burden. Maybe they seek, people leaving Connecticut can't deal with the stupid utilities anymore. So basically, the state, or the state with state income taxes, sits there and says, well, we've got all these, we're just wonderful, we do all this stuff and people are leaving and we can't understand why, because we're great. Because they don't want to pay for your stupid incompetence, basically. They don't want to support you in what effectively is nothing. People can make their own judgments and their own decisions if you give them the resources to do so. They don't need you. They don't need politicians handing out money to communities saying, well, the communities need the help. No, politicians have got to be out of that business. Government has got to be out of that business. That is not supporting, that is enabling. So you want to fix your economy. When I came in, actually, I came in from Aaron's, and I believe he was Jimmy Patronis. He's high up in Florida, and he was talking to Stuart Varney on the Fox Business Channel. He was just rattling off the corporations that are running to Florida because of the tax structure, leaving places like us, leaving places like Connecticut, and it's just, it ain't hard. It ain't hard. You will never be able to compete in any way, shape, or form until you fix this. Until you fix this wretched, cancerous sin that Lowell Weicker handed us 35 years ago. And all of these people along the way have enabled themselves on the political spectrum to benefit at your expense. So I've told you a lot here. But let's start from the beginning, and then we'll start to close. If you're able, I would ask for you to look at my segment with Lee Elsey on Tuesday. That would be February 17th. We covered a lot, and actually takes us to where we are today. We have created incredible amounts of debt, insane amounts of debt, and nobody really seems to care about that. They're starting to now. Bob Swick had an article on Saturday that got high 5-figure views. It's about time. He'll be following up with that this Saturday. Stop these people from heaping debt on you where you will continue to pay it, and challenge them, because they all walk around like, this, we're entitled to do what we're doing and make these bad decisions. And they never talk about, it is disgraceful, the amount of debt, basically. And like we talked about on this particular segment, 100,000, I wish, believe it was $100 million to the Department of Economic and Community Development to develop the economy, doing the way they develop the economy. I rest my case, but we got we got more work to do. Profits are increasing at Eversource. Are you shocked? Do we see real constructive energy policy coming into Connecticut? It's like, just shut up and do what Doug Bergen tells you to do. I don't want to hear from you anymore. This kind of crap is making us poor and making us stupid. And not only that, but you will never, ever, ever attract a corporation or any large business of large scale, because they don't want to pay your stupid utility costs and pay for your conflicted redundancies. Again, as George Colley has noted, and as others, and this is a payback for, this is thank you for what you for quote unquote taking one for the team during COVID. Now we're going to make it very profitable for you. As George says, the only plan that allows bills to skyrocket. It's been the plan for years. We have Advanced CT. We've been through Advanced CT, and this is where quote unquote business is being developed in Connecticut, all without any sort of transparency whatsoever. And again, another Connecticut conflict. We have people that work for Eversource and sit on the legislature. Well, here you've got Gregory Butler, who is high up on the food chain at both Eversource and Advanced CT. And and this is an organization that's supposed to be a repository for fines when they're paid. Well, draw your own conclusions on that, basically. And the connections as far as that's concerned. Watching the press conference of the Connecticut Republican caucus about the culture of corruption, guys, what you're proposing just ain't going to cut it. The feds need to get here. They need to get here now. It's like enough is enough is enough. And oh, by the way, there's a number of things you could be proposing that could lead us to this point of transparency, accountability, and efficiency. Right now, we've got none of it. I'm telling you the truth there. Again, we've got another one of these deals at the Department of Economic and Community Development. Now, one thing I did not go over. Remember when we talked about Semaphore and Digital Currency Group on the Lee Elsey show? And I said, well, the money that is advanced in quote unquote, it is an advance on employment. So you get quote unquote the forgivable loan, which says you are to have this many people for this many number of years, and you are given this amount of money to effectively pay them. And I mean, they don't have to do anything. They could be sitting there, throwing darts against the board or video games or whatever. And then when the money runs out, you have effectively employed them with the forgivable loan from the state and for that period of time, and you walk away and you haven't really done one economic thing. That's basically, we don't know for sure what happened here with the Talcott Financial Group. We don't know if there was, at least at the time of this setting, an economic assistance agreement like that, but there sure as hell was one for Digital Currency Group, and there sure as hell was one for Semaphore before the great pump and dump. And it's why would this deal be any different? And it's just that type of a thing. And if we can't get our hands on this on a real-time basis, this is governed. They could be doing this tomorrow, basically. They could be doing this. They could have done 2 of them yesterday, basically. No idea. Questions aren't being answered, and they're not asked nearly enough. And again, if ever we hope to have any sort of a business revival in Connecticut, you have got to torch the current tax system. Nothing out there is viable. I say that as a professional with close to 45 years in the field. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I worked under a Secretary of State. I was there watching the sausage get made in Washington, D.C. I still have my hand in it, and I'm still watching it. And we are really on the road here to economic, tax, civic, and developmental Armageddon. It's time to do something, or, I mean, this is really the last chance, and this is why we do what we do here. Anyway, I hope that was a help to you. I hope that was an encouragement. I hope that gave you some clarity, because it's the truth. And it's either you can handle the truth and do something with it, or you can't. It's simple as that and just as difficult. Thanks, Mr. Mazur. And thanks for watching the show. It's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. We'll be back with the rest of the show. You're really going to like this movie I have today. I'm incredibly enthusiastic about this movie. And it really is a treasure. It's called a treasure. It's called My Son John. And we're going to have some fun. Thank you for watching. We'll be back right after this.
such a tragic scene. Knocked your crown and ran away. First wound of pride, and how you cried and cried. Save your tears. God isn't here. Fool, if you think it's over, God just said goodbye. Fool, if you think it's over, tell you why. I'll buy you first good wine. We'll have a real good time. Save your crying for the day. May not come, but anyone who had to pay would laugh at you and say, "Fool, if you think it's over, 'cause you said goodbye." Fool, if you think it's over, tell you why. Newborn eyes always cry with pain. First look at the morning sun. Fool, if you think it's over, just begun. I'll buy you first good wine. Ooh, we'll have a real good time. Save your crying for the day. Newborn eyes always cry with pain. First look at the morning sun. Oh, if you think it's over, just begun.
HMO Sobbies. It's the Trickster. It's time for a 30 with Tony classic movie review. And here's Tony.
Well, thanks, Kemosabe's. Thanks for staying with us. In the fight against communism, which just about every single person watching this broadcast is engaged in every single day, I want to share something with you that this fight against communism is nothing new. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. And I'm going to share with you a film, really, which is the quintessential fighting against communism film. It hasn't been seen in a lot of places. I think recently it became available on video. And it's something really that when you watch it, you'll see a lot of yourself and the struggles you're fighting, really in this particular movie against ideology, against pressure, and against acceptance of the social norms. So let me do the screen share if I can. And here we go, hopefully. The film is called My Son John. It was a 1952 film. It was directed by the great Leo McCarey, and he was involved in 200 films, Duck Soup, Make Way for Tomorrow, The Bells of St. Mary, and notably here today, My Son John. And it starred Helen Hayes, the great Helen Hayes, a legend, the mother of James MacArthur, if you were a Hawaii Five-0 fan. Van Heflin, a incredible, noted character actor. Robert Walker, a sad man sad young man, died very young. And he was an incredible actor. He actually died during filming, and they had to patch around him. But if you've seen some of the work of Robert Walker, especially some of the film noirs, you'll really get the appreciation for a fine actor. And Dean Jagger, a noted character actor from way back. It is a film that is called Anti-Communist. And it is anti-communist, and I believe it is fairly anti-communist. It did have nominations of actors for of Oscars for Best Writing and Motion Picture Story. And the counterpoint to this movie is that it's a propaganda film and it's a Red Scare film, and it's, McCarthyism and the fight against McCarthyism and all of that kind of stuff. And it's funny, I was remarking earlier to someone that you're not going to find a bigger Mike Wallace fan than me, and bigger Mike Wallace biography fan, bigger Mike Wallace Nightbeat fan, bigger Mike Wallace 60 Minutes fan. But Mike Wallace had something in his head that Joe McCarthy was the worst person that ever walked the earth, and the UN was the greatest organization that ever walked the earth. Mike essentially was a liberal of his time, but had a lot of shall we say, conservative tendencies. And where I really like Mike is that he drove to the truth as best as he possibly can, regardless of what his bosses thought of him. That said, Joseph McCarthy needs to be restudied in today's environment to show what a fighter against communism did, and perhaps made a couple of mistakes, but yet made some incredible inroads at exposing things that really were supposed to be not for your view, very much like today, very much like the voter issues, very much like the illegal alien issues. You're getting the drift. But anyway, getting to our film. There are two boys, actually, if we go back to Helen Hayes and Dean Jagger, their parents are two twin boys that are going to local football heroes, and they're going to mass, and then they're going to go to Korea to fight communism. Korea in history is known as a war, but back then it was known as a police action. Like when I was growing up, Vietnam was never known as a war. It was like, it's not a war. It's the Vietnam conflict, because the, shall we say, the powers that be did not want you to think about the fact that it was a war. We'll talk to some of the people that serve there. I've been very privileged to know a goodly number of them. But anyway, these are good Catholic parents, and dad's a Legionnaire, and he's a World War I veteran. And the boys go off to fight communism in Korea. And the John, who is played by Robert Walker over here, comes in to visit. And as time goes on, they find he works for the government, but they find that he is a godless, fearing nothing, destroy America communist. And they try to come to grips with that. After all, they've got two boys going, they believe in God. They're religious people. They've got two boys going to Korea. I mean, are these boys going to come back alive? Are they going to come back whole? We don't know. The movie actually, I believe, is silent about that. But as we start to get into all the machinations of this, we find that John is working in a very covert fashion to advance communism in the United States. And it's tense and it's taught, and you'll see the ideologies very much similar in flavor to what you see today on social media and on talk radio. As I always say to people, there's only one devil. It's the same devil, but it's different flavors. This is an earlier flavor, but it's instructive to the fact of what you are facing today. So I'll tell you what, I'm not going to ruin any more of this for you. What I have for you are the credits of My Son John. I cannot locate a trailer, but it is an easily viewable film. Again, I encourage you, do it for my sake. Sign up for the Internet Archive. You don't even have to sign up. You can sign in. But when you watch a movie, send $2, $3, $5, because this is really the greatest free library that's out there of books and movies and whatever else you could find, old computer programs. I mean, I use it frequently, and something like this needs to be supported, especially when, you know, you're folks like me and I'm folks like you, and we're using everything we can to fight against the oppression of government and communism and communists in government, which basically is a gold standard in Connecticut, the state I live in, other than corruption, which is probably the greater gold standard. So, with that, I'm going to roll the credits and I'm going to send you off to the movies. The film, My Son John, made in 1952, starring the great Helen Hayes, the great Van Heflin, the great and tragic Robert Walker, and Dean Jagger. It is a film that you absolutely positively need to see. It'll glue you to your seat, and I'm going to send you there right now. So let's go to the credits and let's go to the movie.
30 with Tony Thursdays, 3 Eastern on Twitter.
Well, thanks, Kemasabis. Hope you enjoyed the show. I have a story for you. A horse frequents a bar, and he drinks a lot. And one day the bartender asked him, "Pal, don't you think you're an alcoholic?" And the horse says, "I think not," and he disappeared. What I've done is explain to you the philosophy of the great French philosopher Descartes, who said, "I think, therefore I am." However, if I were to continue with the rest of Descartes' philosophy, I would be putting Descartes before the horse. Maybe it'll hit you. It's Tony D'Angelo here at 30 with Tony. Thanks, Kemasabis. Thanks for being with us. See me, Lee Elsey Show, 7 a.m. Tuesdays, 94.9 News and Stimulating Talk, and on 30 with Tony. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. We love you. Come back next week for another edition of 30 with Tony. Bye now.